Hey everyone, welcome back to this YouTube channel. This is the Easy QS YouTube channel. We have been lost for quite some time, but now we're back. And now, for today, I want us to understand taking off in the dimension of how we use our methods of measurements. We have been using different methods of measurements in this channel. We have used the SMM4, we have used the ARM4, we have used the new revised methods of measurements, and sometimes we have even used the civil engineering methods of measurements. And today I want us to cover the civil engineering methods of measurements in detail, understanding how we use it, the content of this method of measurement, because as we understand, the CESMM is short form for civil engineering method of measurements. It's a method of measurements used worldwide for the measurement of civil engineering works. So you may be wondering, what are civil engineering works? And I'll read you a definition. Civil engineering works is a construction not classified under buildings, for example, railways, roads, bridges, highways, airports, runways, and dams. All these construction works that are not usually classified under buildings, they are called civil engineering works. And these works are usually priced just as we usually price building works. Just like we can be able to calculate the cost of a building, we can also be able to price civil engineering works. How do we go about the pricing? We always do bills of quantities, the BQs. So when we are doing bills of quantities, we do not only do bills of quantities for the building works, but we also do bills of quantities for the civil engineering works. So when we are using the civil engineering method of measurement, and I'll show you an example of the civil engineering method of measurement. I hope you can see it. This is a printed copy. It's just a printed one for the civil engineering methods of measurements 4. So in short, we call it the CESMM4. It's written Civil Engineering Standard Method of Measurements. And as I said, this book is used worldwide. Yes, it's the fourth edition of the CESMM. It has been revised severally. Until now, it's on the fourth edition. And this is the book that I want us to look at today, and so that we can be able to understand how you use this method of measurements. Once you get this CESMM4, it's a document. If you go through it, it will be able to guide you step by step how you should be able to measure these civil engineering works. And because I know if I show you the CESMM, if I open it for you, you may not be able to read this very clearly. I will share my screen so that you can see it as a soft copy, what the CESMM entails. So we shall be going through the CESMM from the beginning, and I'll just give you an overview of what the sections there are in the CESMM and how we use it to measure civil engineering works. After that, we are going to do very many different examples of how we measure road works, we measure railway works, we measure retaining walls, all those civil engineering works. We'll do different examples so that you can be able to measure them as a quantity surveyor or as in a professional in the building industry who would want to do the bill of quantities. So welcome back so much to this channel. Thank you for all those who have been subscribing to our channel. We're almost at 12,000 subscribers. We really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for subscribing. For all those who have always turned on their notification bell, so that whenever we upload new videos, you can be notified. We are here for you. We'll keep uploading more videos very as a routine right now, every once in a while, without fail, so that you can be able to prepare all of you for exams. For those who have been giving us feedback, you have been able to do your exams, you have passed very well. We are so happy, and we wish you the very best even as you practice. And with those who have asked for videos to help you take off now that you're in the industry and you're no longer doing exams, so that we can give you videos that relate to taking off in the industry, doing bits of quantities. That is what we are on right now. We have decided to take this more seriously so that we can be able to give you more content. So if you're there and you haven't subscribed to our channel, remember to subscribe so that nothing will bypass you. And also as a method of just supporting us, kindly subscribe so that we can be able to grow our channel, and so that we can be able to give you more content as you would want us to give. So if you have any question, remember to ask it in the comment section. If you have any feedback, any video that you're requesting for, remember to write it there. We always look at your comments, and we are always glad to respond to them as much as we can. So let's get started. We will look at the CESMM. The CESMM, it has different. Okay, I have already said that the CESMM is intended to be used in connection with civil engineering works or simple building works incidental to the civil engineering works. There are civil engineering works I have mentioned. They are not those that are relating directly to buildings. There are those that relate mostly to railway works, to roads, to bridges, all those works. But it can be used for simple building works which are incidental to civil engineering works. For example, if we are doing a drainage works, then there's something to be built, maybe just a shed for placing a tank. We may take off that building, that simple building. But what we shall use, we can use the CESMM. But in case it's a big building that needs to be taken off in more detail, we should be able to do it separately, quoting which method of measurement we shall use. So CESMM, we shall look at that as we continue. CESMM is only used to measure civil engineering works and simple building works that are incidental to buildings. So it may be used in connections with any contract for civil engineering works that requires a bill of quantities, which includes measurements. CESMM4 is divided into 8 sections. So when you open the CESMM, you will find that the CESMM has 8 sections. Okay, so if you have the CESMM, if you open it, you'll be able to go through the documents, and you'll be able to see the table of content on page 5. The table of content has 8 different sections, and you'll be able to see them. We have section 1, which has definitions of terms that are used in civil engineering, taking off. Section 2, it gives us the general principles. We'll be able to go through these sections so that you can be able to understand in detail the sections. Section 3 gives us the application of the work classifications. Section 4, it explains the coding and the numbering of items. As section 5 entails the preparation of the bills of quantities. Section 6, it has the completion, pricing, and use of the bills of quantities. Section 7, it has the method related charges. And section 8, we have the work classification. Work is divided into classes. We can see the classes are from A to Z. And if you can see, like class A, it has the general items. Class B, ground investigation. Class C, geotechnical and other specialist processes, until the last class, which is class Z, which has the simple building works incidental to civil engineering works. So in case we have these simple building works, we usually measure them using the CESMM from class Z. We'll be able to see how you use this class. It's an interesting session. I can kindly keep tuned, and I am sure you'll be able, by the end of this, you shall be able to use the CESMM4 in the easiest way possible. So let us jump to section 1. In the section 1, we have said that section 1 has the definitions. If you go through the section 1, I'm opening section 1 right now. We have the definitions. You can see it has different parts. We have 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. You'll be able to see all these paragraphs. Like if we go through 1.1, it says, in this document and in the bills of quantities prepared according to the procedure set forth herein, the following words and expressions have the meanings hereby assigned to them, except where the context otherwise requires. Okay, section 1, it just gives us an definitions of terms that we are going to meet in the SSM. You see, just like if you could be writing a research paper, you usually do that part for the definition of terms. The same with this book called the CESMM. There's those terms that they needed to explain in detail what they mean. As you interact with this CESMM, you'll get these terms. What do they mean? All right. So they say like, for example, the word work. in the CESMM, it includes work to be carried out, goods, materials, services to be supplied, and the liabilities, obligations, and risks to be undertaken by the contractor under the contract. So if you find the word works in the civil engineering SMM, it includes all those things: the work to be carried out, the goods, the materials, the services to be supplied, the liabilities, the obligations, the risks to be undertaken by the contractor under the contract. All right, so it includes all that. If we find a word like contract administrator, it means the employer or his agent or his representative. So that person who is administrating the contract, either the employer, the agent, or the representative, it means the contract administrator. Then we have a word like expressly required. What does it mean according to CESMM? Expressly required, it means uh, anything showed on the drawings. It means shown on the drawings, described in the specification, or instructed by the contract administrator pursuant to the contract. Expressly required, it means anything shown on the drawings, described in the specification, or instructed by the contract administrator. You may find things like expressly required, as in there is something like concrete as expressly required. It means that concrete you can refer, so that you can get the details of the concrete, you can refer from the drawings or the specifications. We know that the specification is that document which gives us the details of how that concrete should be, or any instruction given by the contract administrator pursuant to the contract. All right, so if you find the word expressly required, you shall know that it is, you should refer either from the drawings, the specification, or from the instructions given by the contract administrator. Let's go forward. So we have another term called the day works. Day works, it means method of valuing work on the basis of time spent by the operatives, the materials used, and the plants employed. You see, day works in quantity surveying, we usually use it for that work that is, we do not usually do a detailed bills of quantities for it. That work which cannot just be measured from the drawings. Actually, for that work, it has to be done so that you can know the amount of materials that have been used, the labor that was spent. Then we usually pay the contractor some percentage for his profits and overheads. In case there were plant costs, we will pay for the materials, for the labor, for the plant. Then we'll pay a percentage, any amount that we shall agree with the contractor for the labor, for the profits and overheads. So in civil engineering SMM, day works means the method of valuing work on the basis of time spent by the operatives, the materials, and the plants employed. So here, you remember in section 1, we just want to understand the terms that we are going to interact with when we are going through the civil engineering SMM, and whenever we are doing civil engineering bills of quantities. All right, so there are other terms that are used, like for example, the work classification. Work classification, it means how work is classified in section 8. You see, in section 8, we have different classes of work. You see, we have class A to class Z, class A, B, C, D until Z. So work classification just means just the way work is classified in section 8. Then we have other terms that involve the surface. We have the original surface, we have the final surface, and we have the excavated surface. All right. So what are these surfaces? What do these surfaces mean? Original surface usually means the surface of the ground before any work has been carried out. Okay. So the original surface of a site. It means when we get to site, that surface where we meet before anything is carried out, that is the original surface. Before we do the site clearance, before we do the removal of topsoil or the reduction of the levels, that is the original surface. Then we have another surface called the final surface. This one will be used to mean the surface indicated on the drawing to which excavation is to be carried out. You see that level, it is indicated on the drawing, and we should start excavating from that level. Maybe that level on the drawing is not the same as that level on site. Maybe the level on the drawing is after site clearance has already been done. So the contractor is just being told that when you get to site, this is the level at which you will start. Maybe it is not that level right now at site, but that is the level that you will find when you get to site. Maybe we'll have already done site clearance for you. Maybe we could also have decided to remove all the topsoil for you. So when you find the original surface, final surface is the surface indicated on the drawing to which excavation is to be carried out. All right, so they are different. Now there is another surface called the commencing surface. The commencing surface means in relation to an item in the bill of quantities, the surface of the ground before any work covered by the item has been carried out. Commencing surface means in relation to a group of items in a bill of quantity for work in different materials in an excavation or a bored, drilled or driven hole, the surface of the ground before any work covered by any item in the group has been carried out. In simple terms, it means maybe we were excavating for a basement. The basement was going for 4 meters deep. We excavated 1.5 meters deep. When we are starting to excavate, we will commence from 1.5 meters deep to 4 meters maybe. All right, that is the remaining one. So at 1.5 meters deep, that is the commencing surface. Yani, that is where we are starting from. That is not the original surface, and it's not the final surface, because the original surface was that surface before anything was done. The final surface was that surface indicated on the drawing. Now the commencing surface is after the previous operation. Okay, so if we had already excavated 1.5 meters deep, and now we are starting from 1.5 maybe to 3 meters, 1.5 is the commencing surface. If we get to 3 meters, as we proceed to 4.5, 3 meters is the commencing surface. Very good. I see that we are getting along very well, and we can be able to understand the terms. So we shall go to the last surface, okay? And it's called the excavated surface. What does it mean? Excavated surface means in relation to an item in the bill of quantities, the surface to which excavation included in the work covered by the item is to be carried out. Excavated surface means in relation to a group of items in the bill of quantities for excavation in different materials, the surface to which excavation included in the work covered by any item in the group is to be carried out. You see, excavated surface, in simple terms, it means surface to which excavation included in the work covered by any item in the group is to be carried out. Maybe we were excavating the soil. Then we are to excavate the rock. Okay, so we will have done the soil excavation. Then we start rock excavation. Mostly, of course, we excavate the rock as extra over. But maybe here we are excavating the, let's say it was topsoil. Let's use topsoil. Okay, we excavated topsoil. Now we want to excavate, to do the mass excavation. So if we are talking about excavating from which surface, we will talk about we shall excavate from the excavated surface which had already been excavated of topsoil. So we will begin excavation, mass excavation from the excavated surface whereby something else, another material, had already been removed. Right? Whenever we are dealing with different materials or different items, once that item was done and we are continuing with the excavation of a different item, we'll start from the excavated surface. But for commencing surface, the difference between excavated surface and commencing surface, mostly it's for the same item. We were excavating in ranges of 1.5. The depth was 4 meters. So we'll excavate 1.5, then we commence from 1.5 to 3 meters, then we start from 3 meters to But for excavated surface, it's a different item. Maybe it was topsoil, we complete. After we have removed topsoil, now we are the excavated surface for topsoil. Now we start for the mass excavation. Once we are done, maybe we want to excavate the strip footing. For that, I will start from the excavated surface for the mass excavation, something of the sort. All right, so if you go through section 1, that is section 1 of the civil engineering methods of measurements, you'll be able to get all those definitions that you will encounter when you're doing the civil engineering bills of quantities. And now we will go to the civil engineering methods of measurement section 2, which entails the general principles. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, Henry, remember to subscribe. And if you haven't turned on the notification bell, remember to turn on your notification bell, because we will be bringing you so many new videos for you. So keep tuned, and I'll see you in the next video when we are talking on about general principles. Hey everyone, welcome back to part 2 of understanding the civil engineering methods of measurement, civil engineering standard methods of measurement for CESMM4. So we are in section 2. In our previous video, we did section 1, which was mentioning about the definition of terms. So in section 2, we will get to know where the CESMM is used, and why do we use the CESMM, and what is the objectives of the bill of quantities that we do using the CESMM4. All right, so that will be the section 2. So section 2, we have paragraph 1, which states that the title of this document is that Civil Engineering Standard Methods of Measurements. This is the 4th edition that we are using. It has been revised thrice, which is abbreviated as CESMM4. CESMM4, it is intended to be used only for civil engineering works or simple building works which are incidental to the civil engineering works. So it is only used for civil engineering works that are not related to buildings, or very simple building works that are incidental, yani they come along in the way as we do the civil engineering works. Okay, so in paragraph 2, it states that CESMM provides for simple building works incidental to civil engineering works to be measured in accordance to class Z. When we talk about class Z, it says, you see, in CESMM we have different sections, and one of the sections is classes, work classification. Work is usually classified according to what it entails. We have the excavations, we have the piping. Now, the last class, the classes are from class A to class Z, class A, B, C, D, up to class Z. So class Z, which is the last class, it usually tells us how to price or how to classify simple building works. Okay, so class Z is the last class, and it usually tells us how to measure simple building works. And actually, we can just open the CESMM class Z so that you can be able to see it among the last pages. Okay, so that you can be able to see what really class Z that we are talking about really is. Class Z, it has carpentry and joinery works, it has insulation, it has windows, doors, and glazing, how we should measure them. It has surface finishes, linings, and partitions. It has piped building services, ducted building services, and cabled building services. Anything apart from that should not be measured using the system, and you'll be able to see how do we measure works that are outside that. So I was just saying that in class Z, you'll be able to see all that. So let's go back to section 2 that was talking about the general principles. So we have said that any work that involves the simple building works that are incidental to civil engineering works is measured under class Z. Work that is not covered by the CESMM includes mechanical, electrical, engineering works, or building works other than those covered by class Z. So CESMM is not used to measure mechanical works, it's not used to measure electrical works, and also it's not used to measure any building works that are not incidental, that are not covered by class Z. If we have to measure that, we will have to use other methods of measurement, just like we shall be able to say. Now, paragraph 2.3, it states that the objectives of the system. Okay, before we go to that, in paragraph 2.2, we are told how we should measure any extra work that is not covered by the system. It states that where any such work is to be included. Okay, let me read this whole statement. CESMM4 does not deal with preparation of bills of quantities for complex mechanical or electrical engineering work, or complex building work, or work which is seldom encountered in civil engineering contracts. Okay, any complex mechanical or electrical engineering works, okay, complex building works, we cannot use CESMM. Where any such work is to be included in a contract, a civil engineering contract, for civil engineering work, it shall be itemized and described in the bills of quantities. It shall be itemized, it will be written as an item, and it will be described in the bills of quantities in sufficient details to enable tenderers to price it adequately, and the method of measurement shall be stated in the preamble to the bills of quantities in accordance to paragraph 5.4. Paragraph 5.4 is in section 5, paragraph 4. Yes, section 5, it tells us about what bills of quantities include. And in one section of the bills of quantities, it usually have the preambles. The preambles usually tells us, it has clauses that explains to us more about the bills of quantities. So we are told that for any work, any complex mechanical works, any complex electrical works, and any complex building works, we shall not be able to price it using the system. But what we shall do, we shall itemize it, we shall describe it in the bills of quantities in sufficient detail. Then we shall write it as an item. Then we should be able to state the method of measurement clearly that the tenderer should use to measure. If you're using the SMM, in countries where we use the SMM, we shall write that we should just explain the work in detail. Then we ask them to use the SMM to price that work. Okay, so CESMM is used to price civil engineering works only, or simple building works that are incidental to the civil engineering works. But any works that are involved in the contract, maybe it was a big contract, it had electrical works, it had mechanical works, it had other complex building works, those ones we shall not be able to measure them using CESMM, but we shall describe them in detail in the BISQ and write them as an item, so that the bills, the tenderers can use the method of measurement that has been stated there to go price the work. All right, so if we go to paragraph 3, it tells us the objectives of CESMM4. What are the objectives of CESMM4? The objective of CESMM4 is to set forth the procedure according to which the bill of quantity shall be prepared and priced, and the quantities of work expressed and measured. You see, the CESMM gives us guidelines of how we should measure civil engineering works. It tells us how to prepare the BQ, and also how to price it, and how to take off the quantities, how to measure the quantities. So that is the objective of the system, just to give us guidelines on the procedure, so that whenever we measure this civil engineering work, we can have a uniform way of how we prepare the BQs, they price them, and measure the quantities. What are the objectives of the bills of quantities that we prepare for civil engineering works? One of the objectives is to provide such information of the quantities of work so as to enable tenders to be prepared efficiently and accurately. Okay, so when we prepare the bill of quantity, it helps us to provide information of the quantities of work. For example, we want to know the volume of concrete, we shall be able to know the quantity. We want to know the area of walling, we shall be able to measure that. So it usually provides quantities of work so that those people who are tenderers to be able to prepare efficiently they can be able to prepare efficiently so that they can know how much will be involved for that tender, and accurately, so that they will find quantities. The quantities of in the BQ, they are the same as the quantities on site, so that they can be able to prepare accurately. The next objective of the bill of quantity is when a contract has been entered into, to provide for use of the price bill of quantities in the valuation of work executed. We usually see this, that whenever we have started the contract and we have been doing the contract, then the contractor requires to be paid so that he can get money to continue doing the contract. How are we able to pay the contractor? We always go back to the bill of quantities. Maybe we were paying 100 meters squared of walling at the rate of 2,000 shillings. If it's in Kenyan shillings, maybe we are paying 2,000 shillings to do 100 meter squared of walling, the rate per meter squared. So if he has already done 50 and we want to pay the contractor, we'll just take the quantity times the rate so that you can be able to pay. So the bill of quantity is usually used in valuation of work that has been done, to value, to give a price for the work that has been done. So the first objective of the bill of quantity, just as we've said, is to prepare, so that to enable tenderers to prepare efficiently and accurately by knowing the quantities of work to be expected. The next one is during valuation of the work that has been executed, so that they can be able to measure. Right, so in paragraph 5, it states that in order to attain these objectives, work should be itemized in the bills of quantity in sufficient detail for it to be possible to distinguish between the different classes of work and between the work of the same nature carried out in different locations or in any other circumstances which may arise to different considerations of cost. Consistent with these requirements, the layout and the content of the bill of quantity should be as simple and brief as possible. All right. So we are told in order to obtain these objectives, so that the tenderers can be able to get quantities that will be able to help them prepare efficiently and accurately, and also so that you can be able to do the valuation using the bill of quantities. The items of work should be stated in the most simple and brief way as possible. You see, the CESMM always gives us a guideline of how we should do the bills of quantity. So that is one of the guidelines that you've been be able to be given so that it can be efficient. The paragraph 6 states that all work which is expressly required should be covered in the bills of quantities. You see, expressly required, we say that it is as shown on the drawings or as shown in the specification or given instruction by the contract administrator, if the contract administrator had given instructions. So all the work which is expressly required, as in it has already been shown, should be covered in the bills of quantity. It should have been taken off and priced in the bills of quantity. So CESMM 6, paragraph 7, CESMM 6 to attain these objectives principally by use of the work classification. The work classification, it usually defines 1. How work is to be divided into separate items in the bills of quantities. 2. The information to be given in the item descriptions. When you're writing the descriptions, the information that you're giving, the work classification will help you. Okay. 3. The units in the quantities against each item to be expressed. It usually tells us if it is concrete, how do we measure it? Is it in volume or in area? So CESMM will be able to tell us. Then number 4, how the work is to be measured for the purpose of calculating quantity. How do you measure this volume? Up to where should you measure? Okay, so when you're measuring in these work classifications that we are going to discuss, CESMM will guide us how work is to be divided into separate items. Maybe piping is to be separated from demolitions and excavation is to be separated from, you see, how we should classify this work. It will tell us what information to give in the descriptions, the units in which the quantities against which the items are to be expressed, how the work is to be measured for the purpose of calculating quantities. That is some of the objectives that are the work classification given by CESMM is to assist us. So that is the second part, which is called general principles. When using the CESMM, we have been able to understand, first of all, uh, why we use CESMM and where we use it. Secondly, we have been able to know what were the objectives of CESMM as it was being discovered, or how it came to use, as in what are the objectives that CESMM is trying to accomplish. Then we are able to see why do we prepare bills of quantities. Okay, yes, and how CESMM will help us and guide us as we prepare the bills of quantities. So in our next session, we'll be able to discuss the application of the work classification. How is this work classified, so that we can be able to look at how work is classified under CESMM. So if you haven't subscribed to our channel, kindly subscribe. If you haven't turned on the notification bell, remember to turn it on, so that whenever we post new videos, you can be notified. For all those returning subscribers, we're so grateful. Keep tuned. We'll continue answering all your questions and giving you feedback as much as we can. So thank you for watching.